What up, what up? What up, Jules? Waiting for the stream to catch up with YouTube, or YouTube to catch up with the stream. Still running. Oh, yeah, that's right. Here we go. See if we have audio. Check test 1, 2. Catch up with YouTube. There we go. Okay. Dr. Science, I'm a Ramsey Solutions certified financial coach. I do not work for Ramsey Solutions. Everybody that works for Ramsey Solutions has to live in Tennessee and work in that building. They do not have remote employees, sir. Next question. I've led Financial Peace University classes twice. And I'm in the chat a lot. What up, Aslan? And plus, I did the baby steps starting from step 0 as well. So, very familiar with the content. Gonna wait like another minute, then we'll get started on the content. Q&A, like apparently before that, if you'd like. So you can chat yesterday. Yes, you did, and you saw me in chat today too. If you were paying attention, yes. You came in there right at the end, I suppose. A lot of trolls were changing names and going back and forth between names as well. So, or just one troll doing that. Who knows? Musicians matter. Have you ever met Dave in person or called into the show? No, I have not called into the show. I haven't had any reason to, because I understand the assignment from him. I understand the baby steps. I haven't had any real issues that would prompt a call in. Thanks for the question. Musicians matter. Miss T Bikini, what up? Alrighty, let's get going. So like I said, I am a Ramsey Solutions certified financial coach, and you are watching this on youtube.com/coachstevemoney. For all my financial content, you can just go to the main page, youtube.com/coachstevemoney. Scroll down. The Answering Your Financial Questions stream is on Saturdays and Sundays, and that is just answering questions. Today I'm going to be talking about other stuff first, but then I will be answering questions from forums, different forums on the internet. Also the Ramsey Show Aftershow show. That's this show, and this is number 393 of those. So I've done a few of them. Told a couple people they were doing it wrong, just a couple. And the music playlist has 11 Ramsey adjacent songs in there. Listen to those if you are so inclined. The newest one is How to Do the Baby Steps Right. And that has all the stuff in there about how people do it wrong, about how they save it $1,000 and then they ask if that should be used to pay off debt, or they save more than the $1,000, that kind of thing. And so that song addresses all of that stuff. But yeah, 11 Ramsey adjacent songs in there, so listen to those if you are so inclined. Dr. Science, gotta go to work. Catch me tomorrow if you remember. Their after shows are only Tuesdays and Thursdays, but there will be a chat replacement stream of some type on Wednesday and Friday. You can also watch it after the fact, Dr. Science. You can watch this one later or on your break or something like that. That's generally how YouTube works. Mr. Bikini did budget for next year. Going to be tight, debt-free, but have expenses. Insurance goes from 0 to 1,300. Well, I'm assuming there was a reason it was 0 before, so let's see. Allie has a question. Husband and I were on baby step 7, but he racked up $20,000 in credit card debt behind your back. That will put you on back on step 2. He thinks it is no big deal, but I'm mad. How do I get over this? You have to communicate with him that you are mad about it, and you guys have to work that out. So, and as far as paying it back and stuff, if you've done that before with him, he knows the drill, he knows how it works. And you guys have to work that out. You have to decide if that's enough for you to continue the marriage. So only you can make that decision over there. And basically anything involving a couple, and this is bigger than the baby steps, you communicate, compromise, and if you can't do either of those two things, then counseling will be necessary. So, but as far as you get over it, it just depends on how important that is that he did financial infidelity by doing the credit card debt behind your back. And I'm going to go ahead and guess it was for something dumb as well. So that, again, is up to you. Excellent insurance, no copay, everything is paid for. Well, you got to pay insurance on things like cars, and I hope that's house for $1,300 a year. I mean, I guess it could be for a car for a year. Market report, and after being up a lot earlier today, I'm gonna click on that one. There we go. It was like way up here, and then all of a sudden, I don't know if people wanted to lock in gains. They're worried about the rate change. That probably will happen tomorrow or not happen tomorrow. And so we finished just a little bit above yesterday's close, which is the dotted line right there. That's your S&P 500. Russell Small Cap Index, 0.74% up, so that's good. 0.20% up, not as much up as it was down yesterday for the NASDAQ, but it'll come back. People love their tech. And likely no matter, I mean, people worry in advance when everything's going to be okay after. They think like that's going to change their whole outlook, whether the Fed changes the interest rate or not. And it's really not in the grand scheme of things. The same as the election. It's really not going to affect one person's household finances. So what happens in your house, Dave says it all the time, what happens in your house is much more important than what happens in the White House. But people get skittish right before the election as well. And yet, no matter which side gets in, the market tends to go up right after the election, in the year after an election. So, you know what that means? That means it doesn't make a crap load of difference, is what that means. Let's see what else. Oh, no, let's see what the top rated, the most followed stocks on the Google. That'd be the Apple, 0.22, 0.8%. Alphabet, which owns Google, said, in case you didn't know. Microsoft, 0.88. Amazon, 1.08. Meta, the artist formerly known as Facebook, and 0.57, and Tesla even up 0.48. So the winner today is the Amazon. Christmas season coming. Merry Christmas, everybody. And Christmas not an emergency, so you don't dip into the emergency fund for that. What else do we have? Oh, let's see how the rest of the plan is doing market-wise. Everything up in Europe. Congratulations on that. Mostly up in Asia. Let's see what the currencies are. Just an excuse to do accents. US dollar over the euro. US dollar over the Japanese yen. The US dollar up over the British pound, love. The US dollar up over the Canadian dollar, but the Australian dollar, mate, keeping it from being a clean sweep for the US. Up over the US dollar. Let's see what the futures are down so far, and Just people worried about what the Fed's going to do. Oh, and it changes that quickly. Changes that quickly, the futures do. So it was negative. All three of these were negative, and they all just changed to positive. All right, chat is just going a mile a minute. Let's see. Alex says he won't go to marriage counseling, but I did get it moved to a 0% card. It's on a 29% card with $500 interest a month. That is dumb. So if he won't go, you need to go and find out how to deal with that, so you can figure out how to take your next steps and what to do about your marriage. Because not going to marriage counseling is just ignoring it and saying that your marriage is not important to him. So good luck with that. I'm sorry you're going through that. This doesn't matter. Says, does Geico have a stock? Geico is the most expensive company that keeps raising premium. I don't know if they do or not. I think they do. I don't think they're a private company. Yeah, not a Dave Ramsey issue. Likely not even a money issue. There's probably something behind that as well. Again, depends on what the money was spent on. Do you know everything the money was spent on? You could look at that, but that might be something to make you even more inclined to have that be a deal breaker. So that's up to you, and you're the only one that can make that decision. Berkshire Hathaway has a lot of shares of things. That doesn't mean that they are the owner of Geico, though. Like, they have a bunch of shares of Coke and Apple and stuff. They've reduced their Apple holdings, but that doesn't mean they own Apple. They just have a bunch of shares of them. So they're, they may get to sit on the board of directors or something like that if you have X amount of stock. All depends. Let's see. Do we have anything else we needed to get to on here? Oh, we wanted to see who is reporting this earnings this week, if anybody. No, it doesn't show anybody reporting earnings this week. 8-year-old Ohio girl drove an SUV on a solo Target run. Might have needed some something that 8-year-old might want. I'm thinking of Twizzlers. I don't know what the kids like these days as far as candy. But yeah, you don't want to have your 8-year-old driving. Oh, I don't think that's, even in Ohio, I don't think that's old enough for a license. Wholly owned subsidiary of Burke. There's a K in there, ICT car guy. Berkshire Hathaway. Alrighty, and from the New York Post, what do we have there? Not about Sean Diddy Combs. We have Amazon employees irate after CEO announces mandatory return to office policy. Take my money and leave. You can do whatever you want to as an employee. In most states, you can quit or be fired. I think it's most states has an at-will work environment where you can be fired or you can quit at any time you want to. So it works for both ways, for both the employer and the company, and the CEO and the company are allowed to require you to work in the office. Doesn't matter that Pandy happened. It doesn't matter that you'd like it better there. They get to decide. You're not in charge of the company. You don't get to decide. So if you want to, you can take your money and leave, but they are the ones that get to choose that. So, and it doesn't matter if you think it's smart or dumb. Doesn't matter if you think it's better for them. If people are allowed to work from home, doesn't matter. They are the ones that get to decide that. This from CNN Business. We're expecting a rate cut when we start to see a difference in the economy. It would be dumb to expect it right away. Now, what does react immediately is the traders will probably bump up the market. And because that, whether it's as much as they want of a cut or not, they probably will bump up the market. And that doesn't make any of these companies any more valuable theoretically, in theory, in reality than they were yesterday. It's just, oh well, the rate cut is figured out what it's going to be, and it's put in place, and so now you don't have to worry about it. Same with the president. They're like, oh, we got to worry about this president, we got to worry about this president. Well, even if the one that you don't like gets in, then traders are generally like, okay, well, at least now we know what we're dealing with. So it's a lot of dumb stuff like that traders do. Let's see if it says anything. After keeping interest rate at a 23-year high for over a year, the Fed is widely expected to announce Wednesday it is finally cutting its benchmark lending rate. How rate cuts work, how the rate cuts work their way through the economy. Interest rate levels affect a wide spectrum of decisions that individuals, businesses, and the government make. The government just borrows more money regardless. Simply put, when rates are low, borrowing money is cheaper than when rates are high, and the government shouldn't work on borrowed money. They are no different than citizens who also should not be borrowing money. In the case of Wednesday's expected rate cut, businesses may decide it now makes more financial sense to invest in new projects or hire more workers if less of their cash is tied to repaying loans. Yeah, that could be, but of course, the loan should be repaid before any new expansion happens, because otherwise you're debt leveraging that expansion, and that is not advised by Mr. Ramsey, even for business. Get a little water here. Who appoints the Fed Reserve in the positions of financial power? I think they appoint themselves, I believe. I don't know exactly how that happened, but there's a lot of crap that has happened in our government over the past 200 years or so that our founding fathers would be like, why did we even bother? Why did we even bother having, we could have just stayed part of England for this crap. Because some of the stuff we do is even worse. Let's see. That 7507. We are on reddit.com/r/Dave Ramsey, and this is the Dave Ramsey subreddit. And I often wonder how people get on here sometimes, what it seems like they don't even have any idea that Dave is the no debt guy. So, don't know. Some people even post on here saying, I know Dave says blah, 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 which should be the end of the question. So if you know that, that's the answer to the question. But they say, but I want to get other people's opinions. People like to have people agree with them as far as what their idea is. But let's see. For and against this idea, exactly. VA loan post-military. That's a no, dog. Not advised. Dave doesn't advise your VA loans or your FHA loans and such. Debating on getting out of the military soon since it's taken a toll on my body. Would you still put down money on a loan if your VA disability covered the entirety of your loan, taxes, and insurance? Okay, the disability, are you talking about the loan payment? If it's on a mortgage, you're allowed to take out a loan, but Dave just doesn't advise a VA loan or an FHA loan. But the disability covering the disability amount that you get every month covers the mortgage cost, so you don't have to take a VA loan, I think, to have that still be the case. So let's see, my plan is to use my VA compensation as my housing allowance, looking for any and all input for and against this idea. Checking the pros and cons of VA loans. Check on the YouTube, do a search for Ramsey VA loans. Search his website for Ramsey VA loans and see what he has to say about it. And you just Google in general VA pros and cons. And it'll tell you exactly what the dealio is. Chip Wonderful 5191 cash flow problem. Hello all, I'm married, 25 man, currently on baby step 4 with 12K saved up and no debt. Great. My wife makes $35K per year and I started job making $110,000 a year a few months ago. The problem is that my job is 100% travel and it's making me miserable staying away from my wife. Absolutely dread going back to work in a few days and being gone for 4 weeks. If I were to quit my job now, the most I could make where I live is probably 40 to 50,000 per year in a high cost of living area. That is the problem with high cost of living areas. You generally have to make high cost of living money to live there successfully. It's just simply not enough since we want to save up for a house and have kids. The house is more problem than the kids are. Do I keep hating my life and neglecting my marriage to get where we need to be financially? That's up to you. That's up to you and your wife. You guys need to talk about that. Or do I quit my job, take the $20 an hour position that I don't want to do anyways? You don't want to do either. So you need to find something that you do want to do. Let's see what the rest of this is. And go back to the same old financial struggle and get nowhere in life. Well, you're the one that gets to choose that. I've been watching King Coleman, trying to find a career route for my wife and I, but it's a real struggle for us both. Yeah, well, you need to keep working on that and come up with an idea of what to do. There's no magic. There's no magic to this. Currently, you don't like any of the options you've thought of, so maybe think of another option, and I've got one for you. How about if you're not going to make high cost of living money, you move the freak out of a high cost of living area. That would be my advice on that. Otherwise, you have to deal with the high cost of living there, and you have to figure it out. So find some work you do want to do, or you'll have to do work you don't want to do, and tough. That's your decision to stay in that high cost of living area. Boom, boom, boom. Federal Reserve's more to blame for bad economy, not sitting president or vice president. I don't know about that either. I don't know that that's true. Wall Street traders do allow that to affect what they do. But again, for your particular household, none of that stuff directly affects your household. None of it. Fickle ad 3213. Can I leverage a lease return to my advantage? Not even going to read this because this is a no. Mr. Ramsey is not for debt. He's not for leases, and he's not for debt leverage, which that you're asking about. So everything you're doing here is bad. So just no need to read the question, because there's nothing in the question that makes it, oh, well, if that's the case, just for you, then the advice is different. No, that's the beauty of the Ramsey advice. It doesn't change just because of your little situation. Fargo Girl 1. All right. IRS paid off. Excellent. KGB paid off. Dave often calls them the KGB. I've been on a payment plan with the IRS for the last 3 years. I finally have them paid off. Now it's on to my HELOC. Excellent. Excellent. And IRS does go first. You do want them out of your life. So that's an exception to the smallest to largest. IRS would go first in that list of debts to pay off. Huge reporter is huge. I mean, the reporters are marvelous. That's such a bad Trump. 3719, buy the car or save the money. If you don't need the car, save the money, probably better. Say 22 years old, still a baby, no debt, making salary $80,000 a year, currently borrowing a relative's car, but will need to purchase a reliable car in the next few months. Okay, I want. This is not the need. I want a 4Runner, 5th gen, 20,000 to 30,000, and that would be used. But I feel like for me, I should buy a cheaper car that just gets the job done. Yeah, that is the advice. People, think they want to be car guys. They think incorrectly that a newer car automatically will have less problems, fewer problems, and that's not true. I have $50,000 in savings, but I want to buy a home in the next few years with a 20% down payment. Should I buy a cheap car and save my money for a down payment? Yes. So you have to choose. Money is not unlimited, and a lot of times you do get this where you get a young person, like it takes their parents like the whole lives to get a car, a house, and so forth. And the 22-year-old wants all of it right now. And so you have to make decisions on what's more important to you, because money being limited by the amount of your income, you can only do a few things at a time. Like, you can do this at the same time and you can do them equal percentage, but that's going to make both of them take longer. So best thing to do would be to get a car, cheap car, just to get you from point A to point B if the house is much more important to you. If it's not, then you can do it like 50% extra of all your extra money goes to the Forerunner account, and then the other 50% of your extra money goes to the down payment, and that's going to take make both of those things take a longer time to be purchased. So if you want a home more, the answer would be yes, buy the cheapest car possible. Have your mechanic look at it before you buy it, certainly, and to minimize the chances of you getting a lemon. But yeah, that would be the advice for you to pick what you want to do with money instead of trying to do multiple things at the same time, because the money is limited to the amount you make. Difficult to know from the outside if someone overreacts. However, you still have to know the rules. It's okay to use credit card, not right. It's okay to hide $20,000 in debt from each other, or not right. And you would think anybody would know that that's not what you should do. Like, I mean, why wait for the argument when they find out about it? Have the argument in advance when you say, I'm going to take out a credit card for this dumb reason. And then you can have the argument there. And if that's a breaking point for either one of you, then divorce. But I mean, or you can sooner get into counseling, and that's better than having the wife find out later in the process, much later in the process. And so it's just that just makes everything worse. But yeah, he should have known better. Should have known better than to fall in love with you. That's just a song. That's no reflection on you. Allie. Forgot her name. I'm old. Environmental 2, 1880. Refinance or recast? Neither. Probably. Let's see, this two-part question. First, at what percentage difference is a refinance worth it? Okay, so you have to factor in the closing costs that will happen with that, and when the break-even point is of that, and you're not even making any money. It's not even helping you until the break-even point, and that could be years down the road. So often the advice is, like, if you got a 30 and you're wanting to refinance it to a 15 to be more Dave aligned, just pay it off like a 15 instead. Let's see, we locked in over a year ago, 30, doing it wrong, and you get a 30-year mortgage. Good chance you bought too much house as well then. So we got to examine that. 6.9%, we have no other debt. That part's good. During the pandy in our starter house, we refinanced from 4 to a 15-year. From 4 to a 15-year, 2.5. Which was about $100 more a month. So I'm struggling to find what would be worth it with closing costs, etc. You would have to do that math on that. We don't have enough information to tell you that. It would depend on rates, amounts, etc., and what the closing costs are going to be to do that refi. our second option, should we recast? No. We could at some point throw some change at the mortgage and save thousands by recasting. Or you could just throw change, more than change. You could throw dollar bills too at the mortgage and pay it off like it's a 15 instead of doing dumb crap that gives the bank more money. People, I don't know, people. I don't know. I mean, because you know, you're still, I mean, it looks like you want maybe to follow the Ramsey stuff, but you're still concerned about trying to play the loan the best way. Just pay it off and then there won't be a freaking loan to play. Blakey Calligrapher 62. Why Refi? Ramsey Solutions seems to always recommend refinancing, rehabilitating student loans from Why Refi. Yet he seems not to like other companies that do the same thing. He especially seems to hate SoFi. Yes, I have no connection with either company, but they seem about the same at first glance. Well, that's because you're not paying much attention like most dumb people. So, Why Refi only refinances defaulted private student loans. The other people, including SoFi, do not do that, and they could ask you to get a different kind of loan. So Why Refi only does defaulted private student loans. And there's a market for that because no one else will touch those defaulted private student loans. Doesn't want to know why one is better than the other, and I just told you so. There you go. So, you know, you pay attention instead of just listening to the first 2 lines out of Dave's mouth about it. Maybe you listen to the whole ad that he's doing before you have a problem with it. That's what I would suggest. As has to go to work, she ate. Have a good shift. Need advice on getting out of car payments. Getting out of having car payments has been quite challenging for me, and I need some advice on what to do, not continuing to take out more car payments. You buy cars in cash. Quick recap. A couple of years ago, I bought a very expensive 2019 BMW X3, which was costing me $450 a month. During COVID, I sold the car, got lucky due to rise in used cars, and rather than being upside down on my car loan, I got back $5K. Fabulous, but didn't learn your lesson. I would say I used this $5K to buy a 2014 Ford Focus from a reputable large dealership for $8K, $5K down, $3K loan. You should have bought a car for $5K, so you would have no loan. That's where you went wrong. That's where you keep making the mistakes. Twiddling thumbs 90. To be paid off by the end of the year. Now my payment on the car are $70 a month. My goal was to drive the Ford for a couple of years, but after having it for 2 years, it started to cause me problems. I paid $2K on repairs this year. $2K is still cheaper than buying a new car. I'm not sure what to do. I can sell the car. So the idea is whatever you buy in cars, you're doing that in cash. You're not getting a new loan every time. Stop it. I don't know if you're familiar with Mr. Ramsey, but he is the no debt guy. Do not do that. You're doing it. UK browser boy says, pay 0% debts or save again. I'm not going to read it. All the little numbers here don't matter, but it would be fun to say British pound, love. 222 British pounds per month. But again, this is debt leverage. If you keep around debts and have savings, you are debt leveraging to have savings. So that is not advised. And UK browser boy, I mean, I know he's not from the UK, he's American, but this is the Dave Ramsey subreddit. You got here somehow. Maybe, oh, hi all. Recently I started listening to a lot of Dave Ramsey's advice. In that case, you should know he's anti-debt and pay off your debts. Dumb. So dumb. But people still, they like have a blind spot for like stuff that they want to do. They don't hear it, or they say, well, certainly I'm an exception. And no, you're not. There's no bloody exceptions. No. And the bloody was just for you. Should have said bloody like that for the UK people. Mr. Flocka, at what point do I get a new or newer car? When you can pay for it cash. To get a new car, that would be, you have to be a millionaire to handle that amount of depreciation that a new car does. So, but a newer car, you get to make that decision. If you're on baby step 2, that's a no, dog. You use the car that you have as long as it works, and there's no upgrading car. I don't care if you're a car guy or not. You want to be a car guy, or do you want to make your finances better? Up to you. So no need to read all that. All the little story never changes the advice. And it's just, I had this model of car that I don't personally care about for 5 years. The number of miles I don't care about. None of this changes the advice at all. The advice is to buy cars in cash, and you don't upgrade just for fun because you want to, while you're trying to get baby steps done instead. So you get to make that choice whether you want to do the baby steps or you want to have a better car, a nicer car or whatever. Final Muscle 7196, 10K to spare. Great. Hey all, Canadian here, eh? Self-employed. I got about 10K saved up in cash. Sorry. I'm curious what your opinions are, what to do with it. Okay, and again, we don't need to know any of this stuff. I mean, when they call in, they let them talk for a while because it would just get boring probably sometimes, and this show may even get boring sometimes when I don't read all of the stuff. But none of this stuff matters. You apply any extra money to whatever baby step you're on. Now, baby step 2, guess where that 10K goes? That goes to pay off all your debt. If you're on baby step 2, where else would the money go? You do not do extra savings while you still have debt. You do not have extra savings for your full emergency fund while you still have debt. You do not invest while you still have debt. You do not save for your children's college fund while you still have debt. And you do not pay off your home early or even save a down payment while you still have non-mortgage debt. So the answer is almost always in the baby steps. Sometimes not, though. But again, this stuff, use that 10K for first installment against the tax bill. All right, well, I take it back then. So let's see, reduce my yearly income. Continue onward or use that 10K toward a first installment against the tax bill. If you are behind on taxes or need to have that tax money by a certain time, by April, you can certainly do that. The only way I wouldn't pay off debt with it, if that's what step you're on, doesn't say. If that's what step you're on, then you certainly could do that if you needed to. But if you can save up that 10K between now and when taxes are due in Canada, I don't know if it's in April as well, like it is in the United States. But if you could save up that money by April, then you can use that 10K towards debt now. Let's see if we tagged it. I think the tags would go right here anyway, but let's take a look at it. So yeah, okay. So in this case, it might be something that changes. My bad. So sometimes there is a thing that changes it. And that's only because taxes, you do have to pay taxes, so you do have to address that. No investment, because then you're debt leveraging to have an investment, and so that's a no from Dave, dog. I'm sure I'm missing a novel's worth of info to make a best decision. Not really. It doesn't take that. And that is the beauty of the Ramsey plan, because it doesn't require knowing every little dollar and cent that you're talking about. We don't have to know that. We just have to know something you did leave out is what baby step you were on. How many? Somebody said send it to me. OP. Should have mentioned this. Hashtag mention. We own a home, have a baby 60K remaining at like 2.9% while steady making extra payments. 2.9% is cheap compared to, say, deferring up to 30% of income tax. So what you should do, right, and you don't want to leverage the house against having savings either. So you wouldn't have extra savings while you above the emergency fund while you pay the house down, but also didn't say what step they're on. So also could have non-mortgage debt. So that would change the advice. The baby step you're on does change the advice. None of the other crap matters most of the time. Boom, 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 boom. Music Matters says, CSM, remember when they talked about the deficit federal budget and said they should have someone call the show with the numbers and spending habits as Uncle Sam to get their advice to hear Dave's plan? Right. Well, that doesn't apply to government for some reason, but it should. Mr. Buchanan said people want permission to spend their money, or they're not so money. Sid's here, at least a little bit. A little bit of Sid is better than no Sid. I think 20K is a reasonable amount to be upset about. Yeah. If it were under 1K or if you were paying them off monthly, that's a different subject. Indeed. Still not good that it was being hid, obviously, but yeah. So, but yeah, government is accepted. Nobody holds the government to that. And some of that is because people still want their government benefits, even if it means the government has to go into debt to continue that, which they don't have to. They choose to do that instead of cutting other things. They could easily cut out some of the other things. And you're always going to get people that don't like it. But there are some things that could be cut out, and then only the individuals and or companies that benefit from that expense by the government, only those people would be affected by that. But they would very small group wouldn't like it. And so that's again why politicians don't do that, because they want to keep the support of that said company and or few individuals. Flurami, financial anxiety. Recently, I've become terrified of losing my husband of nearly 21 years. Put a bell on him, GPS tracker, something like that. He's my rock and my everything. He's also one that brings all the money. Can't stop thinking about what would happen if I lost him. I'm 45. And mostly stay-at-home mom with no true skills and no degree. You can take care of children. And partially disabled. We're pretty financially stable after many years of struggling. $2,700 a month, mortgage, 1 car payment, insurance for 3 vehicles, a home equity loan. You're doing it wrong. For just over $700, pay that off. No credit card debt, great. Pay it off every month. Don't use credit cards at all. You can get into trouble with that. So, like, okay, so what you're going to need is 10 to 12 times the husband's insurance and life insurance. So he should be having that. So, and that would replicate his income for you. So if that happens. And you also need to have it for yourself, because he's going to have to hire childcare if you die. So that's why life and getting insurances in place is part of step 0. You do that even before saving up the $1,000 emergency fund. Let's see, 2 kids, 5 dogs and a cat. I've finally been able to start saving a little money. We're at about 7K in savings, and you don't do that while you have the home equity loan. Home equity loan is not mortgage debt. That goes in step 2, so you would not have extra savings. How do I start preparing for a future and then for mine and the kids in case we lose him? Insurance on both of you guys to take care of the other spouse. That's what insurance is for. And like they say on the Ramsey show, if you don't have insurance, then you don't love your family. We just want to kidnap you. Okay, this person has contributed before. That's a weird name. Don't mind me, I'm just doing a little dance while playing another One Bites the Dust. Dooby-doo, bo, bo. Another card bites the dust. We paid and closed my wife's Apple Card this morning. 2 more credit cards to go. Baby step 2, Flare. Excellent. Do. Apple Card bites the dust. Seed oils cause disease. Alrighty. I need a jacked version of Dave Ramsey. You don't. Well, there might not be a literal Jack Dave Ramsey out there dispensing financial advice. The concept of a fitness-focused financial guru is quite interesting. I bet there are some out there. At least I'm sure some of the financial coaches are jacked, not myself. I'm sure some of them are. And so they could like do both things, or at least mix in a little of fitness in with their Ramsey advice. They could certainly do that. But yeah, I don't know of anybody that like does both like that. And so, hey, you can now, why don't you do it? Otherwise, part 1187, question on the baby steps. All right, love baby step questions, because most of the times it can be answered by reading the baby steps. Hi all, hi guys, I'm in baby step 2 and just had a question of what I should do. Good question. Have 2 children, 3 and 1, and before finding the baby steps, I had been saving for their college. It's not much, but I have about $500 in one account and $300 in the other, both in high yield savings accounts. Should I empty those and use these to pay off the debt? Yes. Or should I leave them alone? Leave them alone and just stop adding until the later baby steps. No, you should take those out. I know what I'm supposed to do, but it just feels kind of wrong to empty them. Any advice? Yeah, so you know what you're supposed to do. You know what the man himself would suggest. You're on the Dave Ramsey subreddit. What is it that you would like to hear? So if you don't want to take Dave's advice, you can do that without involving Reddit or Dave. He doesn't have to know about it. None of us have to know about it that read the Dave Ramsey subreddit. You can just do it if you want. So, but either you think you're an exception or you just want somebody to agree with you. And why not just have enough faith or want to do something that you just do it without needing validation? I never understand these kind of people. You know, it's not that hard to know what Dave's going to say about it after watching a week or two. You pretty much know what he's going to say about almost everything, especially the standard stuff. Is like, am I supposed to have any kind of extra savings other than $1,000 emergency fund while I have step 2 debt? And the answer is no. Evie, like Chevy. That's good. That way we pronounce it correctly. For the mamas needing to make some money. All right, let's see. I was answering a new mom of 6-month-old on the Reddit who felt completely hopeless. She hasn't done a job in over a year due to pregnancy-related issues. She was living at her in-laws and hated it. Has been made $20 an hour, but worked over an hour away, taking their only car, often working overtime. She couldn't find a job and wanted to make some money while somehow also bringing up her baby. I wrote this little blurb, but thought it might help other mamas in the same boat. I am amazed at other mamas who want to help other moms in neighborhoods. Okay, they can be your best side hustles with the right attitude. I wanted to add as well. Next door or a local mom's Facebook group are great resources. Okay, so that's not specific advice, like a specific job to do, but that's saying some sources where you could possibly find one or get contacts and so forth. Set the tone. Move out of parents now to rent. Yes, if you're an adult. 25 man. Yes, Mr. Ramsey does like adults to no longer live with mommy and daddy or hunker down for a down payment in 8 to 9 months. Baby step 4, flare. Not flare, tagged as baby. No, not even. Yeah, tagged and mentioned in the question itself. Okay, that's great. So let's review. Let's review, people. That means baby step 1 done, $1,000 emergency fund. That means baby step 2 done, all non-mortgage debt except the house is paid off. Step 3, full emergency not saved. Emergency fund save of 3 to 6 months of expenses. Hashtag dementia creeping in. So step 4, that's when you do investing, and you actually do steps 4, 5, and 6 at the same time, but likely 5 and 6 not involved yet. So it would just be investing. But before that, you should have enough money to move your grown butt out of there and be an adult and start living your own life. Let's see. Been in my parents' basement since I was a child with a brief 2 years of dorm life, then moved back in while finishing school, make $105,000. You can probably afford an apartment then, with excellent job security, funding my retirement, have few to no assets, and my dump car will croak in a year or so. So you would need money to probably either fix the car or replace it. So you got to think about that as well. In a relationship in which I can see us funding our wedding in 1.5 years. Okay, I love these. I budget my spending well, but I'm 25 man and still living with my parents, paying $400 a month with my parents versus the $1,400 a month in my area. I know Dave has formally talked about moving out of your parents. That's correct. So it should be period right there. I know the advice, so I'm either going to follow it and not try to get anybody else's opinion on it to make me feel better. You can just do it without having somebody agree with you. And also flipped on that ideology for many other circumstances, whatever, dude. My parents are for me moving out. Imagine that. But they're insisting that I just stay with them another year and pick up shifts and just work my tail off. Now you can save money doing that. That much is certain. But you're the one that gets to decide that. You shouldn't let anybody else decide it, and it shouldn't matter if we agree, if anybody on Reddit agrees with you or not. What a known, proven financial advisor says should carry more weight. But maybe you just want somebody to agree with you, and possibly out of 57 comments, probably just one did. Probably more than one did, in fact. And so you can do that, but the problem is, again, 25 years old, and then wants everything all at the same time, replacing the car, saving for a down payment, got to pay for the wedding, want to do everything all at the same time. You, even with $105K a year, you're limited on money. So quit being nutty. You got to pick your poison there. And you are the one that gets to decide whether you move out. Dave's advice is to, yes, do it. Be an adult. That gets you ready to live in the world. Didn't we just have Mr. Flocka? Thought we had Mr. Flocka recently. There it is. Newer car. Let's see what the new one is. 21 men, live with my parents, and they track my location, time to rent. Yeah. That one was easy. Sneezing fits a rock, paying off mortgage. I was watching an older episode where a lady called in about paying down her mortgage of $184,000 with stock, which she had $80K. There was no hesitation on Dave's part to do this. What I don't understand is you should get about 8 to 10% in the market, which is much higher than your mortgage rate. Not sure what stock she had, but it didn't matter because he didn't ask her. Doesn't the math say to keep your stock? Sometimes it does, but in the case of single stocks, those are too volatile to keep. You should sell all of those unless they are inside a retirement account. and you sell those and you apply them to whatever baby step you're on. And if it's baby step 6, that's paying off the mortgage early. And so you do that. And for a lot of Dave's advice, it doesn't matter a flick what the math says, because it's a behavior issue. Money is much more a behavior issue than a math issue. If it was only a math, all the math nerds would be fine. Instead, they're up to their gills in debt because they did the math. Keeping around a 4% loan to make 0.0001% interest. Chasing that interest. Dumb. That's debt leverage and it's dumb. So keeping stocks single stocks, while you still have a mortgage, that's debt leverage as well. So no debt leverage. Dave is the no debt and no debt leverage guy. Yeah. Guys, singles is probably going to buy the wrong home anyway. That's right. Guys ought to know better than that. Oh, well, any wife that I have would like this home. Nope. After married, Sid thinks it's okay to stay with parents till then, as long as it continuing contributing to the household, not just tossing 400 at them and calling it a day. Do we save for retirement while saving for the emergency fund? No. So let's go back to the baby steps. Steps 1, 2, and 3, you do in order, one at a time. And I can't get too mad at people for not knowing this because it does not say this here. And that's part of why I did the How to Do the Baby Steps Right song, to highlight all the dumb things that people do because it's not listed here. And if they don't pay attention on the show that heavily to catch it, then they don't understand. But steps 1, 2, and 3, you do one at a time in order without doing higher steps. So that means you do step 1 first without doing any of the higher steps until that's done. And actually you do step 0, which is not on here either. And that contains a bunch of stuff like get on same page with spouse, getting insurances in place, your 4 walls, a bunch of other stuff on there. Forthcoming video on that. I keep threatening it'll happen one day. Step 2, pay off all debt except the house using debt snowball. You do not use $1,000 to pay off debt. You also do not add 1 cent to savings. In this time, all of your extra money goes to debt instead. And so you do not save any on the full emergency fund while you're doing that. You do not invest. You do not do anything higher. All you're doing is paying minimums on all of your debt except the lowest one, and that's where you send all the money to get them all out of your hair eventually. Now, once all the non-mortgage debt is paid off, then that's when you start step 3, and still you are not doing any higher baby steps. You do not invest 1 cent until you save 3 to 6 months of expenses into a fully funded emergency fund. Once you have that done, then steps 4, 5, and 6 are done in order still, but all 3 of these at the same time. And basically you use your snowball amount. Now at this point, you can schedule vacations, extra fund money, whatever you want on step 4. You've earned it by paying off all your non-mortgage debt and having a full emergency fund. So you've earned the right to do that. And so that's going to make doing that though is going to make the rest of the baby steps take longer by the amount you spend on said vacation or anything else you decide to do. But so you would take that former snowball amount, every cent extra, and you would take that and invest 15% of gross household income. And then if any is left over, if it applies, you save for kid college. And then if anything that's left over after that of all the extra money per month, you put that to pay off the home early. And you keep doing that, and that's how you get to step 7 eventually. And then step 7, then you can budget absolutely whatever you want. Anything you can cash flow or save up for, you can do. So that's how that works. So yeah, no investing until you are done with step 3 and are on step 4. And there's no baby steps are done at the same time except 4, 5, and 6. Now there is another one that's missing, and again, that'll be part of the missing baby steps video. Step 3B is saving for a house down payment. If you have a house already and you discover Ramsey, you don't always have to sell the house. Sometimes it's a good idea, but you don't always have to sell the house, so you can keep it. But if you don't have a house already, then you would not save for a down payment until after you had the full emergency fund. And for that, I would recommend the full 6 months of expenses, because houses have additional problems that can go wrong with them. So that's when you would do the down payment, and you can you get to decide the ratio between the investing and the amount saving for the down payment. And like if you live in a high cost of living area, or you just want to save up a larger down payment faster, Dave is also fine with you not investing for 2 years while you save that down payment, larger down payment faster. Oh, that's the health insurance. That's $1,300. Okay. You can compare rates elsewhere. Three and only three. Excellent. Can save 10 for an emergency fund until you get to 4. Yep. Major guy, 1058. Should I pay off my mortgage and or car loan? Let me see. Those are loans, right? This is the Dave Ramsey subreddit. Any idea how he feels about loans? Maybe we should check. They know what baby step they're on. Actually, they don't know what baby step they're on. And this is how people are dumb. I don't understand why they would think they're on baby step 6 if they have a car loan. That is so dumb. 40 male and wife 39 female. We're on baby step 6. No, you're not. You don't figure out what baby step you're on by the one that you're doing wrong. Just because you are trying to pay off your house early at the same time, and you already have a house. If you have non-mortgage debt, that puts you in step 2, and that's so dumb. Approximately 800,000 in a high yield savings account, debt leveraging. So I'm not even going to read this crap. Everything you're doing is wrong. The short answer is yes, and parentheses, don't be stupid, and maybe trolling, who knows. But people do this dumb stuff. I want to get to baby step 7, but this is holding me up. You're dumb. You're dumb. You're not on step 6. You're dumb. Chunky Cheddar 90. I feel like things are okay, but could defo be better? Can anyone more experienced offer some advice / input? I can. Hello, everyone. Throwaway account here, just for the sake of it. Okay. Currently 33 in full-time employment for the Ministry of Defense in merry old England, maybe. I'm currently on 45K per year, not counting overseas pay. In March, I shall be going up to 51.4K per year. In my current account, I have 15K, have 5K in a rainy day saver from Barclays. Doesn't matter the percentage. I don't give a crap. 20K ISA, that is their 401K kind of. Cash ISA at 4.7% from last year, financial year. I just opened 20K. Cash ISA with trading 212, which is between 5 and 5.2 AER. That's probably average percentage rate for them. So far I have 20K stocks and shares I said from the year before the Barclays. So what are you doing wrong here? Debt, let's see, currently with about 8% gains. Okay, blah, blah, blah. So it's down for ages, but I've recovered in the last 12 months, now making money. And 45 GIA with the same. Or you're just looking for better investments. See what the dealio is. Open the same time as that. About the gains since I opened it. Yeah, I mean, that's not as much as the market has made in the last year. Let's, oh, I opened this in a new window. That's bad. Let's see, an apartment, which I currently rent out for 850, I don't know, PCM pounds. Concerning month, I don't know what the PCM means. I assume that means per month. Fully managed. This just about breaks even between management fees, which is why you don't own apartments, which is why you don't become a landlord. If you have to hire management for it and that makes you break even, then you don't do that. That's dumb as well. Will be cleared in 7 years. And so you won't be making money on it until then. So, see, I'm not even sure if I ever plan to live in the apartment, as it's in a good location in the city between the two unis and business district. So getting tenants has not been an issue so far. I've owned this for 6 years now. I mean, if you're not making any money on it, not advised. I pay an accountant to manage the capital gains yearly because, quite frankly, I just CBA'd a deal. I don't know what that means. This results in about 1K tax bill plus accountant fees. So what changes, if any, do you guys recommend? Any questions or more detail? Feel free. Thank you in advance. Okay, so let me make sure I open this in a new. Come on. Yeah, I did. All right. So just close that. There we go. All right. And so now we can go back to the market, which is why I keep this open. US, S&P 500, and we're doing last year, right? 26.52% if you just had it in the freaking index fund, and more if you had it in managed funds that make more than the index fund, or you had it in the NASDAQ index, which makes more than the S&P 500 index. And so, yeah, so you could do that. So you can do better than 6 freaking percent, even in merry old England. And yeah, we should have just stayed with you instead of doing all the crap our government's doing now, because we're not in any better place than we were back then. Maybe the freedom of religion thing maybe was enough, but again, our founders would be losing their minds. That time I opened it in the same window. What am I trying to do? Get rid of that. Come on. Well, that's just going to stay there. Okay. Time is it? All right, let's do one more. Musicians matter. System, spending too much car insurance. Yeah, gonna look at that. Yeah, look at all your insurances. You can shop all of your insurances and try to get better deals. System, your thoughts on cutting tax cuts for billionaires who can afford to pay into the system of revenue instead of programs that help the poor or middle class. Your thoughts on cutting tax cut for billionaires who can afford to pay into the system or of revenue instead of programs that help the poor or middle class. Well, the tax cuts if you cut the tax cuts for the billionaires, see, the problem with billionaires and company owners and stuff, they do not take the hit for that. They're not taking the hit for that. They are going to make the same amount of money for themselves. So what they are going to do is have fewer jobs available for the poor and middle class. So that doesn't help. The jobs for the poor and middle class help them more than any government programs for the poor and middle class. And so they're gonna cut out jobs. Cutting out the taxes, cut out jobs. It's been proven. It's happened time and again. When these tax cuts do happen, because then there are fewer jobs, there's less business expansion, because billionaires are not in the business of opening companies just to help you out, to provide you with a job. That's not how the reality works. That's not how capitalism works. We're in a capitalistic society here, my friend. And so that's not how it works. You got to embrace the reality of life and say, sure, you can cut the tax cuts for billionaires. Go ahead, but you have to live with the results of it. And you can blame those billionaires who are greedy. You can blame the greedy billionaires. But guess what? The voters are going to blame your dumbass for doing that. Because you're the one that cut the tax cuts. And they're not dumb. They know enough to know that if you make billionaires have to pay more, they are going to quit spending more as far as creating jobs and so forth. So that's my thoughts on that. Right, or you can just contact Xander Insurance and get their input. Tell them that you are a Ramsey referral, and they should give you the Ramsey treatment and the Ramsey advice there. Crafty Challenge 3967. Am I bankrupt? Filing bankruptcy is the last possible option. You go through all the other options first. Family of 3 living in San Francisco Bay Area. Layoffs, taking a job. You can't do that in California. You can't be laid off in California. Sorry. Maybe you can move away from there, and then you won't be bankrupt. Taking a job with a significant pay cut, living a high cost of living city. Yep. Bad spending habits. Yep. Move out of the California and stop all the bad spending habits. So we found the problem. So you're not bankrupt. You're just being dumb about stuff. Even if the job you get laid off, you're still having bad spending habits. So you weren't setting yourself up for a possible layoff. So everything you're doing is wrong here, California. Cheapest daycare, $1,800 to $1,400 a month. So let's see. Already cut down a lot of expenses. $1,400 still for childcare isn't cheap. So you got to make sure that both parents need to work. If the lower earning spouse is only making like $2,000 a month, it's not worth it paying $1,400 for childcare. The other spouse should stay home with the baby or babies. Downsize from, well, that's good. No, the bankruptcy, people think that's a quick fix, but no, you just need to move away from California, probably. So, but you should exhaust everything, including moving out of California, like to the Midwest or somewhere where it doesn't have that high cost of living. Move to a lower cost of living place. Below a rough estimate of current income, debt, expenses, month. Yeah, that doesn't really matter. You just, like I said, you got to improve the situation. You don't make enough money, and you had bad spending habits, and even with bad even making enough money and not having bad spending habits, with having bad spending habits and making enough money, that bad spending habits negates some of that money, and so that does make it difficult to live in the Bay Area. The Bay Area, one of the most expensive parts of the California. Oh, and we've caught up. Let's see if there's anything new. I could have just refreshed, but we'll go hot first and then new again. Nope, no new ones. Alrighty. So that's all right. It was time to be done anyway. Alrighty. Once again, I am Coach Steve Money, RamseySolutions.com. Ramsey Solutions certified financial coach, excuse me. And you're on youtube.com/Coach Steve Money, and you just scroll down. Goodness gracious. Let's see. How do you get rid of them? Those should just go away. I thought when you click on that. Maybe that'll trick it. There we go. Okay. All right. For further financial content, answering your financial questions, playlist. That's the weekend stream. Ramsey Show Aftershow. That's this show. On the weekend stream, the answering your financial questions, I just do the questions. I don't do any of the articles or talking about the market unless there's a particular question about the market. I will bring that up. And of course, the music playlist, including such hits as You Belong Debt Free, You Belong Debt Free. And so 11 Ramsey adjacent songs there. Listen to those if you are so inclined. Thanks, Jules, for dropping by. Thanks, Musicians Matters. Getting some liberal vibes from you there, Musicians Matters. I know you're in the arts, but come on now, be realistic with financial matters. Let's see. Plugs. Once more, I am Ramsey Solutions certified financial coach. And if you've got money problems or you just want to make sure you're on the right track, you can schedule a free financial coaching consultation with me at calendly.com/coachstevemoney. You can email me about coaching or anything else on my YouTube channel, coachstevemoney@gmail.com. Donations can go to paypal.me/coachstevemoney. Alternatively, the Cash App at $CoachSteveMoney. How about that? And alternatively, again, to Walmart gift card to coachstevemoney@gmail.com. Upcoming streams, the aforementioned answering your financial questions. That is on Saturdays and Sundays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, unless there's a Ohio State Buckeyes or Washington Commanders football game on. And in that case, I will do it at 4 p.m. Eastern Time that afternoon. The Ramsey Show Aftershow show Tuesdays and Thursdays, 5:25 p.m. Eastern Time. And on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, the Ramsey Show chat refugee streams. Those Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and I will try to have some kind of content for those. It's been video games a lot, but we'll see what I can come up with. That's at that same time, 5:25 p.m. Eastern Time, when the Ramsey Show YouTube video ends, and the rest of it goes to their app. All right, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment, and always make smart financial decisions every day.